Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Welcome back to our 191st episode. It's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please continue to follow us at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that all episodes of A Moment of Zen stream 24/7 on your home TV in Kathy, Ireland, worldwide. And of course, you can always find us directly on our YouTube channel. In the Hydration with Heart Express segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, in studio right here at iHeart headquarters in Midtown Manhattan. Today, we're thrilled to have a truly global sensation with us, singer, songwriter, and influencer Amun Starr. She has close to 2.5 million followers. She's from the sunlit shores of San Diego, and she's all the way down to the ancient landscapes of Egypt. She's taken the music world by storm with her cross-cultural influence, powerful voice, and undeniable star quality. She's here to chat career, her new release, Bitchy, and what 2025 has in store for her. In the Expert on the Microphone series, in our Polished Beauty segment, we're diving into women's wellness in a way that addresses real needs beyond the usual narratives. Menopause and female sexual health. We're going to chat with Lana Kerr, founder and CEO of CO2 Lift and Lumist Skincare, Dr. Amy Devaranya, founder of UVA. She offers data-driven insights for managing hormone health right from the comfort of your own home. And they're going to be joined by Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified OBGYN and cosmetic surgeon. We're going to get real, we're going to get scientific and debunk myths surrounding female wellness and sexual health. In the Phoenix Rising segment, sponsored by Chicago's Chicken Shack nonprofit, contributor Anna DeVere speaks with Jerome Haferd, a Harlem-based architect, public artist, and educator. He leads the Jerome Haferd Studio. He's co-founder of Dark Matter University and teaches at City College Spitzer School of Architecture. We're going to dive into his work amplifying voices in history through innovative design. In the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, live right here from our headquarters, we have two trailblazers in wellness and healthcare. Dr. Joe Puma, leading interventional cardiologist and founder of Sorin Medical. He's advanced heart health access in underserved communities. And Kenya Gipson, she's a nationally syndicated host of Passage to Profit and co-host of The Check-In. She's also known as the Marathon Mama. Together, they're transforming heart and health wellness through their series, The Check-In. It's focused on bringing essential resources to the hip-hop community and beyond. Stay tuned for Amun Starr, American singer-songwriter and Egypt's pop poster child with close to 2.5 million followers. Up next, in the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today, we're thrilled to have a truly global sensation with us, singer, songwriter, and influencer Amun Starr right here at iHeart headquarters. From the sunlit shores of San Diego to the ancient landscapes of Egypt, she has taken the music world by storm with her cross-cultural influence, powerful voice, and undeniable star quality. Her music isn't just a reflection of her life experiences, it's a bridge that connects worlds, cultures, and genres. And with hits like Infected and her new single, Bitchy, Amun Starr is redefining pop culture with a blend of confidence and authenticity that truly resonates deeply. Amun, thank you so much for joining us today, superstar. Welcome to the show.
It's so good to see you again. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, we're going to dive right in because this is truly exceptional. You've come such a long way.
let's talk about your new single, Bitchy. So not every day do we get a song titled with that kind of audacity. How could you? And
Yes.
attitude. But it's interesting because studies actually show that assertiveness and self-confidence in lyrics increases listener engagement by up to 35%, and it's a real mood boost for listeners. So what inspired you to embrace this bold side, and what do you hope listeners will take away from Bitchy?
I think I was just unleashing my authentic self. I think that I was like, there's a little bit of tongue in cheek in it, but it's really like just pure feminine energy. And I did write a safer version of the song, and I thought, why, this is so boring. So let's just go all the way. So yeah, I think
who likes
that
to
is-
play it safe?
Yeah, no, safe is not very interesting.
So your career has taken you around the world, and that's no small feat. Not everyone in pop gets to say they work with both the American Embassy and the Egyptian Ministry for Antiquities. I mean, talk about a global resume. And a recent report that I was reading, 72% of top charting artists are now incorporating global influences into their work. So you're on the right track. How have your experiences abroad shaped your music? And how do you keep your sound authentic but still connect with fans from so many different backgrounds?
Well, it's funny. My producer that worked with me on Bitchy is actually Egyptian, and I think that because he has such a diverse background in music, that the two of us coming together actually made for a more interesting song. It's still Western, but there are some hints of a little Middle Eastern back there. You can't really know that it's there, but it's there, so it makes it more interesting. And I think that using any kind of international sound or traveling or getting to know different feels and moods around the world will only increase the interesting part of the music, to make it more interesting.
Well, I love the way that you really redefine the word bitchy, though. It's interesting because people think it has a negative connotation.
Yeah, they really do.
But this is a whole new approach
No,
to it.
Bitchy is like, I'm full woman, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna unabashedly be myself.
I love this. Unabashedly be yourself, girl. Now, I'm going to pivot a little bit backwards to your album origins. It even made it to the final voting nominations at the Grammys. And that's a major achievement in a world where like less than 2% of submissions get that kind of recognition. But this isn't your first accolade. You've also got a Hollywood Music and Media Award and a SoundCloud Wave Award under your belt. So
3.
3.
Yeah.
So with so many milestones in such a short time, how do you stay grounded, and what's the most surreal part of this journey for you?
I spend a lot of time by myself. That's really grounding for me. I need my downtime so that I can fully engage in my creative wild side. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing. I also do a lot of exercise. I hydrate well. I just take care of myself, as much as I can.
You hydrate well. Ooh,
Yes.
that piqued my attention. Well, this is a very fitting question. When it comes to hydration, we know that hydration is extremely important for all kinds of functions in our body, from metabolism to organs to our insulin levels to our energy. Electrolyte replacement is extremely important, especially when you're traveling. What's your hydration hack?
Well, I do drink a lot of water, and I stay away from soda. I don't drink any soda. I don't drink any alcohol when I'm traveling. I do drink coconut water. And yeah, just anything that can really like make me feel like I'm hydrating not just the inside of myself, but also my skin and my mind.
Okay, you ready to give me your true, authentic reaction to nature's Gatorade? Are you
Yes,
ready?
I
And if
am.
you actually head to naturesgatorade.com, onceuponacoconut.com will pop right up.
Ooh.
So, Amun, here we go.
Okay.
Blueberry flavor.
Yeah,
All right.
blueberry.
Now you're going to taste it and you tell me what you think of this.
Let's see. It's just coconut water?
Straight up coconut water, nothing added, no sugar added.
That's actually really nice.
Very smooth, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I actually really like that. That's really good.
So all of it's they kept it simple. They went to Vietnam. They found the sweetest tasting coconuts in the world.
It's mild tasting, but it still has a lot of flavor.
So there's no sugar added. And the most important part is if you look at what these ingredients are,
There is nothing added other than the fruit and the coconut water, and that's it. Now, we're going to pivot a little bit, so thank you for that. Big endorsement there. Big shout out to Once Upon a Coconut. Thank you so much for bringing us the Hydration with Heart segment. Now, as a creative powerhouse, you've performed across the globe. You've also done over 1,000 interviews and personal appearances. I mean, you're clearly always on the red carpet. It's clear you love connecting with your audience, both on and off stage. And it's interesting because you're doing all the right things when you look at the surveys. And again, I believe that the world is very data-driven. It revealed that over 80% of artists say interacting directly with fans has changed their creative process. So how does that interaction shape your music and influence the themes you explore in your work?
Well, no, I think that it's absolutely essential for coming up with the ideas in which to create from. I mean, nothing is original in the world, but to be really interesting at the time, you must trend. And so you must connect with the ideas and opinions that are trending right now. And I feel like that's something that having direct access to fans does, because you can really get the pulse on the street.
Now, looking forward, you've already achieved so much in your career, but you seem more inspired than ever, my dear.
I am.
I know, right? So
I feel like I'm just starting, to be honest.
Well, you're just getting started. So for a lot of artists, longevity in the industry is the ultimate challenge, and balancing growth but staying true to your artistic voice, right? So with all the projects you're involved in right now, with that lies ahead a lot of probably unexpected twists and turns and a journey that may or may not well be mapped out. But I want to know what's up and coming for you collaboration-wise, new albums, and where do you hope to be in 5 years from now?
Oh my God, that's a long question. So right now I am working with several DJs to remix some music that hasn't even been released yet. So I'm super excited. We want to infiltrate all of the dance club scenes with the new music that I've made, which is primarily dance, but it goes into different moods. Some of it can be like at Joshua Tree, and some can be in a nightclub. So I think that the goal is to just reach our number one hit. That's what we want the most. We want to make it into the Billboard charts. And in 5 years' time, I want to be Hot 100. That's our goal.
Hot 100, baby. All right. It all starts somewhere. And the answer is literally always right under your nose. And I think you're on the right path, my dear. We are officially out of time. We are at the end of our date. And when it's been such a joy having you here on our show. Thank you so much for joining us in person.
Thank you. Yes, such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for having me.
Very serendipitous. Your music, your journey, and your vibrant personality are truly inspiring, my dear. And I know our listeners are walking away with a little extra sparkle right now. So thank you for sharing your world with us. And we can't wait to see where your incredible journey will take you next. To all our listeners, make sure to check out Amun's latest single, Bitchy. And now it's also on YouTube. Definitely head to her channel. Every handle on the gram and every handle on YouTube goes by Amun's name, Amun Starr, AMUNSTARR. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
I'm feeling bitchy. You got those dagger eyes, I'm twitchy. You're here to bite, here's my innie. You got a light. If you like bitchy, then I'm your type, bitchy.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Aim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com. Welcome back to A Moment of Zen on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today, in our Expert on the Microphone series, in the Polished Beauty segment, we're taking a closer look at women's wellness, a conversation that's long overdue in a way that speaks to women that actually need it, rather than the conventional narratives that sometimes just totally miss the mark. Menopause and female wellness are often talked about as if they're delicate issues to tiptoe around, but our guests today are rewriting that story. Lana Kerr, founder and CEO of CO2 Lift, is breaking barriers with a non-invasive and non-hormonal approach and rejuvenation solutions that restore confidence in women at every age. Dr. Amy Devrania is the data-driven visionary behind UVA. She's transforming hormone health management with actionable insights women can access right at home. And joining them is my contributor and expert on the microphone, Dr. Daisy Aim. She's a triple board certified OBGYN and cosmetic surgeon who bridges beauty and wellness, showing us just how powerful and interconnected these fields can be. Let's get real, let's get scientific, and let's bust some myths around female wellness and sexual health. Welcome to the show, my dear friends.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for having
Good
us.
morning.
Okay, so excited. Let's jump right in. Lan, I'm going to start with you. So you're the mind behind CO2 Lift vaginal rejuvenation treatment, which uses carboxytherapy to rejuvenate the skin and the skin down there without invasive procedures. And so many women feel like they have to choose between aging gracefully or battling wrinkles with drastic measures and even dryness down there. So can you tell us why you believe non-hormonal treatments are the future of skincare and why you chose carboxytherapy as your focus?
Yes, thank you, Zen. I believe that regenerative medicine is the way of the future. More and more people are looking for ways to allow their own bodies to heal themselves. And carboxytherapy is a new category in this area. It's new to the United States, even though carboxy has a long history. This application and delivery system, because it's a gel, has so many different indications and can be used in so many different places on the body, the face, the body, and as you mentioned, the vulva vagina. So I'm really excited about that.
So with so much demand for safer, non-invasive options, I imagine you'll have some inspiring insights on how this approach is really changing the skincare industry. So I can't wait to keep following up. Now, Dr. Amy, what inspired you to create UVA, and how is this giving women more control over their health journeys?
So I actually went through a pretty devastating infertility journey. And I realized, having irregular cycles my entire life, that pretty much every tool or solution available on the market was designed for a woman who has a 28-day cycle. And so I'm a data scientist by training. That being said, I started collecting as much data as I could, and I realized the piece of information missing from my data set was what my hormones were doing, because that dictates every phase of a woman's life and every day of her cycle. And so I set out to solve that problem. I realized women had a huge gap in their knowledge base. They also many don't even understand why they have a period and what the menstrual cycle is for. And so I wanted to change that, really fill that knowledge gap with data and not just blog posts or content. So we built this at-home testing platform that measures critical female hormones. At the moment, we measure progesterone, luteinizing hormone, and estrogen quantitatively over the course of 15 to 20 days. And we help women navigate their trying to conceive journey as well as perimenopause, which is a huge black hole when it comes to information, data, and just the knowledge out there.
Knowledge is power. This is so practical and this is so innovative and yet so simple. Now, hormone health has a huge impact on overall well-being, yet it's still kind of taboo to openly discuss. But UVA is making it easier for women to have that data on their hormonal cycles in the palm of their hands. But how do you see UVA helping to break the stigma surrounding hormonal changes? Because there's a lot of stigmas and misinformation, particularly around menopause.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of stigma stems from misinformation and just not knowing, right? So we're actually starting this movement, and I'm wearing a shirt I can show you. It says, "I am hormonal, ask me why." And the reason is because we are all hormonal, and it doesn't have to be a stigma. It doesn't have to be like, "Oh my God, I'm off today. I'm hormonal. Leave me alone. Leave me in the closed room for the day." There's a reason behind it. And if we can actually put some science behind it and educate women and the community, it's not just about women. I often say my husband is a lot more regular than I am because he has cycles that are so much more frequent, and you can predict what his mood's going to be. It's not just a female issue. And so we really want to start this conversation about why we're hormonal, what these hormones are doing, what the purpose of them are, and then either be better prepared or at least like own the fact that yes, I am hormonal because of this phase. I'm in perimenopause, my hormones are out of whack, and I understand why.
It's so exciting to think about how accessible hormone tracking is and is empowering women to take control of these crucial health changes. So good job. Now I'm going to hand this off to Dr. Daisy because I know she has some questions for Lana. Take it away, Dr. Daisy.
Yes. Hi, Lana. Can you tell us about some of the research-backed results you've observed with CO2 lift carboxy therapy, especially in wound healing and regenerative space?
Yes, we have spent a lot of money or resources into doing clinical studies because we feel that it gives not only our physicians the confidence to refer to their patients, but also for their patients or customers to be able to know that this is going to help. So some of the things we just completed a study on skin microbiome. We're seeing that it reduces senescence. We're looking at also what it's doing for type 1 and type 3 collagen. We did a wound healing study. We saw in our a pilot study that we can actually close a non-healing diabetic ulcer in as little as 8 days. We then did another one on a larger study on diabetic ulcers, and those 6 months non-healing wounds closed within a month. We just completed another one with profusion studies as well as venous ulcer studies, and again, the results are remarkable. So we have, and of course, with with wound healing, there's a place for in aesthetics, because if something is able to quickly close a wound, then we can know what it's doing for our skin in terms of reducing the effects of aging everywhere on our body.
And I want to piggyback off that. So when you talk about the vulva rejuvenation treatment, this is an application that you insert similar to the way you would insert a tampon, right? Can you explain to me what those effects are?
Okay, so as we age, the aging affects, as we know, more than just the skin on our face and our neck. Our vulva loses, microcirculation slows down, and so blood flow slows down to our pleasure area, our clitoris. And so that can actually atrophy. And so women experience less sensitivity during sex. Also, the skin inside of that tissue is as thin as the skin under our eyes. It's very thin and dry. So women eventually experience dryness, and then which leads to painful sex. So all those things decrease our pleasure, as well as the fact that because as we were just talking about with hormones, we experience even not only dryness and sensitivity, but even our pH can be thrown off. And so women are more susceptible to infections. So the CO2 Lift V is very effective at rebalancing pH, regenerating that tissue very quickly. We've seen in the biopsies after just 10 treatments how that tissue is really thick and nice, as well as women in both our double-blind clinical studies show increase in orgasm, sensitivity, pleasure.
I love it. This is all data driven and scientifically backed and clinically researched and verified. Good job, Lana. Now, Dr. Amy, I'm going to pivot to you. As a scientist, you know how essential data is to understanding trends in female health. That's your entire ethos of your company. Yet there's still a significant gap in menopause and perimenopause research. So how does UVA contribute to filling these gaps? And how can data-driven insights really transform the way women approach menopause?
Well, we're in a really unique position because the data set that we have is unmatched, right? We're talking about 15 to 20 days of hormone measurements across multiple cycles across thousands and thousands of women. The only way to get data like this was to have patients come in every day for blood work. And we're doing this without any sort of invasive treatment. It's all done through urine, but you're getting so much information. Last month or in September, we actually presented our first piece of perimenopause research at the Menopause Society conference, where we showed an amazingly strong correlation between estrogen levels and the quality of sleep that women were experiencing. So we always think about perimenopause as symptom management, but there's a hormonal underlayer that we have to treat. There's a reason these symptoms are happening, and it has to do with the hormonal imbalance. The problem is no one understands that hormone imbalance. So we're really trying to be at the forefront of educating not only the consumer, but also the medical community on what these hormonal imbalances look like, so we can start getting to the root of the problem.
So innovative. And I imagine having concrete data like this can make a real difference for women navigating the complexities of perimenopause and menopause. Because like you said, now you have actual proof in your hands and you can plan accordingly. Dr. Daisy, I know you have more questions for Lana.
Lana, I know with CO2 Lift, it's a fantastic option for women. You don't have to have a medical condition to use it, by the way. So what are some of the feedbacks you've received regarding this product?
Oh my goodness! Just this past weekend, I was at in the meeting in Miami, the Global Aesthetic Conference, and we just had some of the doctors who are also experiencing, for instance, lichen sclerosis, well, who came over and just were just raving at how this has helped, but also too with surgery, labiaplasties, how they recover faster. But I think what is very special to me is just my own experience. It has totally changed the game for me, because even when I thought of the idea, because of the history of what CO2 lift was doing for other parts of the body, and recognizing what some of the symptoms that I was experiencing in my late 40s, I thought this could be a good solution. And of course, that's how the research started on that. And so now we're able to help thousands of women to experience better relationships with themselves and their partners.
Your approach is not only about confidence, but about changing the way women feel and talk about their intimate health, Lana, which I think is game changer because nobody's really doing that. I know, Dr. Daisy, you have a question for Dr. Amy as well, right?
Yeah, Dr. Amy, how do you see UVA impacting the future of hormonal health management, especially at home tracking?
What patients, I believe, are now demanding is they want more immediate and at-home care. So UVA is really meeting them where they need it. And we're giving them the same accuracy as a blood test, but done through urine. You get your results within seconds. And the best part is your clinician can view the data in real time as well. Our entire system is HIPAA compliant to really aid in that two-way conversation. Now, the other piece is that because we're doing this hormone data, not only do we just provide values to an end user, when you think about a blood test, you get your report, all you get are values saying high, low, in range. That doesn't really tell you too much. With us, we're actually educating women on what these levels mean. How does this impact you? How does it help you achieve your health goal, whatever that may be? And I think what it's helping to do is really instill a way for a patient to go into her doctor's office with targeted questions, not just asking the doctor to educate them on what their data means, which I think a lot of physicians are put in that position to just give their patients a medical lesson. The patients are now coming in with targeted questions. My estrogen is really fluctuating a lot. It doesn't look balanced with my progesterone. What can we do? It's not, what does this mean? What can we do? And then the other big piece that I think we're doing is we're helping patients feel validated. And we hear this from our users a lot, that they feel off. When you go to a doctor and you say, I don't feel like myself, that is very hard to treat. But now if I'm able to show you hormone data over the course of multiple months, and you have symptoms tied to it, these are pieces of information that a doctor can truly treat. So patients are feeling incredibly validated with the information they're receiving and the answers they're able to get.
Wow, you guys are definitely brilliant minds, all three of you. And that brings me to ask Dr. Daisy some important questions. So Dr. Daisy, what has been your biggest motivator in pioneering a hybrid practice model that combines both cosmetic surgery with OBGYN expertise?
I think this panel just highlight why I do what I do. On one hand, you have an aesthetic application, which is also medical with CO2 lift. On the other hand, you have a medical background with UVA. So my idea of pioneering this was just to make medicine, or at least women's health, a complete unit. A woman is a whole unit. So we should not section and treat one section without neglecting the other. So I really wanted to approach this with the idea of bringing everything together in a comprehensive care for the woman. That way she feels heard in her health, in her wellness, in her beauty, because we walk around with those three aspects of us entirely as one.
That's a great answer. And what advice would you give to other women looking to redefine their industries, especially in fields that blend, wellness and aesthetics?
Oh, the first thing is you have to stay resilient. Whenever you have a purpose, you want to be grounded in it, and while you're pioneering it. So stay resilient, seek out network of others that have similar opinions, exist or not, and just continue working at it. Eventually, you'll have a community that believe in your concept, and this concept is going to morph into something that's really helpful to the masses. So staying resilient, staying on course, and not feeling sort of like fall back if you're just alone going in this process. I know when I started obstetrics and gynecology and cosmetic surgery, I went to medical school to do this in 1998. It was unheard of. And in fact, when I mentioned it during medical school residency, I got a lot of no. I never got a yes. And here we are in 2024. Both of them are easily being blended. And we have great panelists here showing how easy it is that both of them work well.
Amazing. Well, what an inspiring conversation today. A huge thank you to you, Lana, and Dr. Amy and Dr. Daisy for joining us and shedding light on such vital aspects of women's health and wellness. And for those who want to learn more, you can definitely visit their respective websites. But I want to send you both, all three of you, off with an incredible farewell. You are so inspirational and truly proprietary products that all three of you women and services have created. So I'm very proud to have had you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
For those of you that want to learn more, visit co2lift.com or follow Lana on the gram at the Lana Kerr and at CO2Lift. And for insights into hormone tracking and fertility, you definitely, without a doubt, must check out UVA at uva.life or follow at UVA Life. It's two O's, OOVALIFE. And if you're interested in the intersection of beauty and wellness, why wouldn't you be? Dr. Daisy Aim's work can be explored at drdaisyim.com and on Instagram at Dr. Daisy Aim. And do check out at Polished Beauty Podcast. Thank you for pushing boundaries in the wellness space and empowering women everywhere. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by the Polished Beauty Podcast with Dr. Daisy Aim. Hey, ambitious women, ready to shine on the inside and out? Tune in to the Polished Beauty Podcast, where we talk about business, beauty, brains, and body all in one spot. Meet Dr. Daisy Aim, triple board certified cosmetic surgeon, pro-aging advocate, fitness enthusiast, and your go-to for real talk on leveling up every part of your life. The Polished Beauty Podcast is your dose of ambition meets empowerment. For more information, head to polishedbeautypodcast.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance.
For more information or to order CO2 Lift, ask your skincare professional or go to co2lift.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Phoenix Rising segment, brought to you by Chicago's Chicken Shack nonprofit, we're joined by contributor and podcaster Anna DeVere, and today she is joined by the incredible Jerome Haferd. He's a licensed architect, public artist, and an educator based in Harlem, New York, right here. He is the principal of the award-winning Jerome Haferd Studio, which produces build projects and artworks nationwide, and the core initiator of Dark Matter University, where he received the Black Visionaries Award back in 2022. Now, if that wasn't enough, he's also an assistant professor at City College's Spitzer School of Architecture, where he co-directs the Place, Memory, and Culture Incubator. They're going to join me today to talk about his meaningful impact in the architectural world and how he works to highlight and elevate important voices and pieces of history with new creations. Welcome to the show, my friends.
Hello.
Hello.
Let's dive right in. You are currently based right here in Harlem, but you originally came from the Midwest. I can imagine you experienced quite the shift when transitioning from one place to the other. Just some shift, right? And it's clear through your work that you hold great value in culture. So can you talk about your sense of purpose in being a cultural architect and what drives your vision?
Yeah, when I say cultural architect, I think for me, people, culture, and history are really providing a lot of exciting material for me as a designer and an architect. I grew up in a single parent household in the Midwest in Akron, Ohio, shout out. And I really wanted to be an artist. And my fascination with architecture really began with just drawing anything, any buildings that I could see back there in Akron. And I thought at that time I knew what architecture was. And over the years, I've really been reminded every day that the arts and architecture are really so much more and so much better than when we first encounter them. They're the kind of gift that keeps on giving. So fast forward to today in my practice, I really am insisting that architecture, like the other arts, is fundamentally a cultural endeavor. And that means that the built environment is really an extension of our humanity. And that kind of belief for me really drives my practice.
That's beautiful.
I want to say that I feel very fortunate that I was able to walk into an installation of yours in Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem. It was a beautiful day. Can you talk a little bit about your vision? Because I felt the impact of it. And I want you to share, like, what do you mean about doing futuristic installations that also have a sense of the ancestral past?
The installation is called Sankofa, which that name, for those who don't know, really derives from several different African traditions and is depicted as this bird, the Sankofa bird, that looks back to history while it's walking forward into the future as a kind of value. And so this project was really conceived of as the circle, as an interactive public installation that is 32 feet in diameter, and is this kind of beautiful open air enclosure made of steel, wood, and a giant woven canopy that folks sit underneath of and host events and enjoy themselves. So that, the ancestral aspect of this is that the inspiration for that pavilion came about through looking at indigenous architecture, traditional African architecture that we see today still. And then the futuristic is that, I'm a contemporary designer. So we used AI, we used digital software. And so the feel of it is very fresh and new at the same time.
You're
Agreed.
just brilliant.
That's why we bring him. He's
Make
brilliant.
it sound easy, but it's not.
I can envision how complex this might be, and you delivered it like it was a seamless vanilla project. And I'm like, it didn't happen that fast and that easy, but kudos to you for making it seem like it was step 1, 2, and 3. But the projects and artworks from your studio, and this is what I really want to talk about, they often look to highlight marginalized histories and unlock what we call this new imaginary, right, for architecture and design and cultural infrastructure, which I think is what really sets you apart in your field. Now, I know you and your team have worked on many complex sites, including collaborations with the Harlem African Burial Ground, Roots to Sky Collective, the Park Avenue Armory, and the National Black Theater. Now, engaging with both urban and rural contexts, your studio, I'm seeing, consistently focuses on sites of Black or Indigenous history and cultural and that cultural significance nationwide. So, what is your vision for how we should honor and memorialize these significant sites?
Yeah, so I would say this really working in that space, which is really, I think, an inclusive endeavor, began about 8 years ago now, when I became aware of the Harlem African Burial Ground, which is a site that is still being worked on archaeologically and thought of for an eventual living memorial. And for me, my vision for these sites as a designer is that they sort of change us as much as we change them. And that these kind of histories really are this invitation to think differently about design and to bring in some of this other material that hasn't really been focused on in art and certainly not in architecture. So, especially a lot of this history, there's not always a lot of archive there
Right.
to work with. So you have to really be imaginative in how we even do memorials or public spaces that I think also can take on the act of repair
Right.
in that challenge as well. So how can we, start to think of memorials as something that is a lasting thing, that is sort of unfolding over time, that is helping to repair the environment around it, and also helping to repair ourselves.
I want to highlight one more thing before we move on to a different project, is that when I was in Marcus Garvey in Sankofa, you actually had benches that included vining plants that the community 2 years later is still tending, those tender little plants. You
Yeah.
actually got married in the upper installation in that park. And it feels very much like you've created sacred space. And I
Yeah.
feel very honored to have witnessed like what you're talking about, how important it is to the community that they tend that as their own sacred space, much more than just an architectural phenomenon. It's really achieving what it set out to do. Congratulations. As Zen said, we're both blown away. I want to talk a little bit about In the Wake. It's your first place competition design, and it's for Africatown in Alabama. Can you talk a little bit about that project and what it represents?
This community really sort of shot into the spotlight around 2019 with the rediscovery of the quote unquote last slave ship, the Clotilda. And there's now been documentaries made about this. Questlove did a documentary about this because he has roots there. But that's the context by which this community have, really are one of the only, if not the only, Black community in the US that have a coherent link back to Africa through the record of this ship and that history. And so it's super important at a national or international level. And they put forth a competition looking to create a cultural mile all throughout this community that also would repair the environment and produce different sites that can also be a support system for this community, which has a lot of chronic economic and environmental troubles. So we worked on the second of these 4 sites and proposed really almost giant versions of Sankofa, something that really took the imagination of what it means to think about African history in the United States, in this new land, and mixed together texture, fabric at the scale of these large venues that will eventually host a replica of that ship, which I think is a really important public monument to that history. We can't take for granted that that history is accepted by everybody in the United States. So I think more monuments that sort of insist on the truth of that history are really important.
I love that you're really truly looking at this as an entire nationwide exhibit, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I want
Yeah.
to talk about Dark Matter University. Tell us more about this and about what this space and about why this space is so unique. Number one, I love the name Dark Matter University, but through this transdisciplinary network that I understand, it's geared towards new models of design, pedagogy, and practice, which you are a core initiator of. So please elaborate on this.
Yeah, and so Dark Matter University, or Dark Matter U, because it's not technically a university, which is also allows it to be special in this way. I love that you're describing it as a space, because it really is a space, and it is an architecture, but it's an architecture that is now really over the both physical networks, but also virtual networks. So a group of us in the design fields, a lot of different emerging designers who are also in academia, many of us of color, just started to meet regularly and create a network of support and mentorship, and also started to do a lot of design work together. So we create exhibitions, we create events, and we do a lot of outreach and awareness building around the possibility of working in this kind of interdisciplinary way with folks who you may not be physically, proximate to, but how we have a kind of ongoing collaboration over the airways that's really innovative.
And I'm really proud to have you as an anchor in the Phoenix Rising New York City project, you and your husband, who will play cello at that event. I know you were married in that art installation. I'm so happy that I viewed it firsthand. Anybody that wants to have more Jerome Haferd, can you please tell us what you're working on in Harlem currently with the water table?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to have been commissioned for a permanent artwork in New York City. And this artwork is in many ways being envisioned as an exploration in weaving and flowing and movement made permanent.
Hmm.
So we're designing a large kind of enclosed seating area, like a plaza, that is composed out of these strands that'll be made of concrete and stone and steel that will flow into the East River, and is really about that gathering at the water's edge, which we've done for thousands and thousands of years, and is going to incorporate artwork from young people in this really close neighborhood here.
Amazing.
Well, we are officially
So
out of
stay
time.
tuned for that. That's
Yeah.
coming in 2026.
Let's
with
go. We're
the
I
new-
told you, you're
the new
road mapping.
Esplanade on the East River.
We're going to hear a
Another-
lot from Jerome. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerome and the roadmap. Well, we are officially out of time. We're at the end of our date, my dear friends. Thank you so much for joining me, Jerome. Anna, it's always a pleasure to have you on. But you are truly inspiring. I love what you're doing. Keep up the great work, and we will continue to share your voice with our listeners.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
That was our Phoenix Rising segment brought to you by Chicago's Chicken Shack nonprofit, and that was the incredible Jerome Haferd. Definitely head to his website, jeromehaferd.com, to learn more about his latest projects and check him out on the gram at jhaferd. And of course, don't forget to also check out our beloved Anna at Anna_Devere. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Back in the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, live from iHeart headquarters. I'm thrilled to introduce two trailblazing figures who are redefining wellness and healthcare accessibility. Dr. Joe Puma is a renowned interventional cardiologist with over 3 decades of groundbreaking work. As the founder of Sorin Medical, Dr. Puma has not only pioneered life-saving heart scans, but has dedicated his practice to improving cardiovascular health access in underserved communities. Joining him today is Kenya Gipson, nationally syndicated host of Passage to Profit and co-host of The Check-In. She's also known as the Marathon Mama. Kenya's wellness journey has captivated audiences nationwide, inspiring others with her message of empowerment through movement and mindset. Together, she and Dr. Puma launched The Check-In. It's a healing series to bring vital health resources to the hip-hop community and beyond. Today, they're here to discuss heart health, transformation, and a mission that crosses boundaries. Welcoming now to the show are my dear friends Kenya Gipson and Dr. Joe Puma. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us, Sen.
Yes, very excited. Appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, we're going to dive right in because there's so much to unpack here. I'm going to start with some basic statistics. So according to the American Heart Association, Black adults are 30% more likely to die from heart disease compared to their white counterparts, and that's partly due to systemic barriers in healthcare access. So, Dr. Puma, you've made it a real point to advocate for minority health in underserved communities. What first led to this mission, and how has it specifically, I want to know, shaped your approach to making cardiac care more inclusive?
Well, that's a great question. And, you know, if you spend your life in hospitals every day, especially here in New York City, which is really diverse, you get to see patients from all different backgrounds. It really hits home that we have a problem. There are real disparities in care. And while I don't want to be political about it and you know, and talk per se about race or poverty and things like that, what I do want to do is just recognize that, you know, when your kitchen is on fire, we shouldn't be, you know, spending a lot of time talking about a leak we have in the bathroom. And in underserved communities, in the Black communities, the kitchen is on fire. They have a higher incidence of heart and vascular disease, which is the #1 killer worldwide. They have worse outcomes. They come to our attention, Zen, when they already have more advanced disease. They have more complications. So in my little world, at least, I've tried to find platforms and ways to educate, to raise awareness, not to preach, but to try and embrace people where they live and help them with their healthcare journey to improve their heart health, ultimately making them feel better and live longer.
It's so refreshing to see a specialist like yourself step outside traditional roles to really focus on health equity, because no one is really doing it. And in a healthcare landscape that's often criticized for its inaccessibility, especially for minority communities, your commitment really offers a powerful example of how healthcare can move from reactive to proactive in supporting these patients. So kudos to you. Now, Kenya, I'm going to focus my attention to you for this one. So there was a recent survey from the National Institutes of Health, and it revealed that only 23% of adults met the recommended physical activity guidelines, with even fewer from underserved communities. So you're a marathon runner and a wellness coach who's overcome some health challenges, but through movement mainly. Can you share how your coaching philosophy is designed to break down mental barriers in communities that may lack access to fitness resources?
For sure. So movement is medicine, right? I think like if you're moving around for a few minutes a day, whether you're walking up the stairs or you're taking a jog around the corner, I think it's important to just start where you are. You know, I've been in the fitness industry for the past 10 years, and I will say I was not always a marathon runner. I didn't start that way. As a matter of fact, I used to despise exercise. Wasn't my favorite thing to do, but realizing that I had underlying diseases in my family like diabetes, hypertension, things like that, I knew that I had to get active, and I knew I had to create an active lifestyle in order to really, you know, come against some of those comorbidities that we experience later on in life, particularly as a Black woman, right? So one of the things with me is that I just felt like it was important to find an authentic space where I could create, you know, some mindset coaching, get people to think past their limitations. Marathon running was a big, you know, attribute to that, where I was able to get out, run. And I found that when I was running, that I wasn't thinking about a lot of things. I was just thinking about the one thing that I was doing at that particular time. So when you take the mindset or the thought process of running and you make that applicable to your mindset or getting past a certain goal or threshold, I think that they're both intertwined. And I've been able to use running as a method to kind of surpass and create some tenacity in my life. So that's kind of
wow.
my journey
I
there.
love how you tied that together. It's actually really inspiring when you backtrack and look at this journey, and more importantly, your emphasis on mental barriers. That's key, because studies really tell us that our mindset often dictates our ability to stick to health goals, right? And so for communities with fewer resources, that mindset shift, it's everything. So what you're offering isn't just, you know, your perspective. It's an invitation to transform on both a mental and physical level. And so I commend you for that. Now, when you look at the statistics here, studies show that patients from marginalized backgrounds are often less likely to seek medical help due to past negative experiences with healthcare providers or even certain stigmas within their communities. So, Dr. Puma, the check-in series is taking healthcare right to the community rather than waiting for people to come to you. How did you and Kenya decide to create this initiative, and what impact are you hoping that it's going to have on the trust these communities feel towards the healthcare system?
The key thing was that, you know, sometimes you're lucky in life and you meet people that not only are like-minded, but are authentic, are sincere, and have passion, as well as compassion. And because of that, we started to understand a little bit better, having many conversations on many different platforms with patients from these communities. And what we found, you know, basically falls into, I think, two different categories, and it's a male-female issue. On the male side, tremendous fear, just a fear of even finding out. Women, on the other hand, probably not a surprise to you, are way more informed and way further ahead of the curve. They go to the doctor, but there's no easy access. They don't have high quality care in their community. And what really came through was that it appeared that even though they expressed themselves, they articulated their problems, it didn't seem like anyone was listening and acting on what their issues were. And so we've been really fortunate and that we feel like we've had a great impact on a number of people's lives. There are people walking the earth today because we've started the programs we have had and the partnerships that we had. So the question becomes then, how do you reach a broader community? And that's where the idea for the check-in came. And so what we wanted to do was we focused on the hip hop community. The hip hop community, as you know, is losing a lot of, great people and great artists prematurely. Fat Man Scoop in his 50s while he's performing has a cardiac arrest. A lot of it has to do, I think, with education and awareness. And so what we wanted to do was try and merge entertainment stories, real stories about real people that have accomplished things in their life, but at the same time, talk about their health journey and the challenges that they've had in their life.
So refreshing to see health professionals like yourself really taking that step forward, and more importantly, reaching out directly to the community. So creating a proactive trust with communities is extremely important. So you're on the right track. Now I'm going to shift back to the check-in from Kenya's perspective. So when you look at minority health and health disparities, nearly 60% of Black and Hispanic adults lack basic health resources. So Kenya, through the check-in, you're bringing both education and physical resources to hip-hop communities and beyond. How has partnering with Dr. Puma and Mano helped you amplify this mission, and what's been the most surprising reaction that you've encountered so far?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, in addition to resources and education, we're creating access, right? Because that's the result of everything that we're doing, right? Making people realize that there is an option for them when it comes to their health care. It's not as unaffordable as you think it is. I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to, the healthcare space and like what's affordable and what's not. And I think that there is this stigma, particularly in communities of color, that we can't afford certain things. But I also say that we culturally spend money on things that don't make a lot of sense, and we need to make sure that we are taking care of our health. So can I mention the Sorin Marketplace? Am I allowed to do that? Sorry. So ironically enough, the Sorin Marketplace has a setup where you can go on there and you can really see how affordable it is to get the scan with or without insurance. And I think accessibility and information is important because it shows you that you're not being left out, right? I think that people think that they can't afford certain things. And when you can physically see what's available to you, it shifts your mindset. And just to your point about working with Mano and Dr. Puma, I think one of the things that was most intriguing to me about Dr. Puma when I first met you was your heart for the community, and your heart for people who don't necessarily look like you, right? And I felt a certain sincerity from you. And I felt like as a human being, like that gravitated towards that. And that just showed me how authentic you were. And I knew from there that we could build what we're building now. And I mean, this really started with the Breakfast Club, right? And it's evolved into this thing where now Mano's involved. And I think he brings a certain, dynamic to what we're doing that's real and relatable. And I just feel like we all contribute to the puzzle the way that it was meant to unfold.
Now, the CDC has found that preventative care could reduce the economic burden of disease by nearly $270 billion annually. Yet, many communities still lack access to early diagnostics. So Dr. Puma is pioneering this space without a doubt and pioneering accessible diagnostics. So how do you view the role of technology in bringing proactive health measures to those without easy access? I mean, could tools like your Sorin Heart Scan eventually become a bridge for these communities?
Well, they ought to be. And the real question is, why aren't the large institutions doing this, right? Why is it that a small independent medical practice like Sorin Medical is the only practice in New York, whether it's hospitals or practices, that has the most advanced CT scanning? We trademarked it, the Sorin Heart Scan, because A, it's the most advanced and fastest CT scan. And when you image the heart's moving, so you need super fast imaging. B, we have the most experienced technicians and nurses that have been doing this for over 10 years, just focus on cardiovascular disease. And 3, our process, the medications we use and the process to lower the heart rate to get the best images, as well as the fact, number 4, that most scans are managed and operated by radiologists in hospitals, and we're operated by cardiologists and only focus on cardiovascular disease. We image only the heart. But what technology is supposed to do, right? every several years, our computers get faster and they get cheaper. Well, that's what technology should do. And imaging in medicine is doing that, but we're not bringing it to patients. A simple 3-minute scan with our technology, covered by insurance, no cost out of their pocket, can give them such context that I promise you, if they walk into our office or any place in this country and get a scan at this level and this quality, they will automatically be able to live longer if they take those results and use them properly.
It's remarkable to consider that technology, right, is the bridge that finally closes these health gaps. And too often, high-risk communities are just left behind when it comes to innovations in healthcare. So your work feels like a giant step forward, really leveling the playing field, and that's both refreshing and inspiring. Now, according to the American Psychological Association, people who set health goals with community support are 50% more likely to maintain these goals long term. So, Kenya, your journey is an incredible testament to resilience. How do you incorporate mental wellness alongside physical activity, especially for those who are dealing with challenges like chronic illnesses or socioeconomic stress?
Well, I just personally took a mental health week myself last week, and I wasn't sick or anything. I just needed a break. And so for me, I just think when it comes to mental health and it comes to health in general, it's not really a color thing. It's a personal choice thing. And when you realize that you have options for you available, you start to choose better when you know better for yourself. So for me, I think it's important to teach people how to put themselves first, how to put their health first, right? That you are important, and that, if you're not well, most likely the people that are around you, your family, your friends, your community, they're not going to be as well off, right? So I'm trying to teach people how to take care of themselves just from a spiritual level, a mental level, and then a physical level, because I feel like it's all cohesive and it all works simultaneously together.
So often the wellness industry focuses only on aesthetics or quick fixes. But from what I'm understanding, your approach speaks to true sustainable transformation, and it's something that goes beyond the surface, and that's where real change happens.
Thank
so
you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Now, research, we're almost at the end, but research from the American College of Cardiology suggests that high-tech diagnostics like the Sorin heart scan, you have the potential to lower mortality rates by up to 20% if accessible to all. So while the Sorin heart scan is a cutting-edge diagnostic tool, it comes at somewhat of a premium. What's your plan to make this scan truly accessible to those even without insurance or substantial financial means?
We live in New York City, and there are so many very wealthy areas in New York City, and I certainly don't begrudge anyone their hard work and their wealth. However, they're juxtaposed against equally poor and highly impoverished areas, right?
Yeah.
And so the real question, though, is, but we're all people. Why shouldn't everyone have access? But what we see in New York City, and what you see even nationally now, is all these companies with these high-tech scans that are targeting the wellness and longevity market, so to speak, and the kind of the 1% or the 0.1 of 1% that could pay $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 for this scan. Whereas from my perspective, listen, Medicare pays us $195 for a Sorin heart scan. We're willing to take insurance on anyone. We want it. The way you create access, I like to say, is by creating access. The way you meet people that have, that are underserved is by going to meet them where they live. There's absolutely no reason that the entire population, rich or poor, black or white, can't have these preventive scans if they're in a high-risk subgroup. There's no reason that the facilities can't accept their insurance. There's just no reason for it. And there's no reason, by the way, that all those rich folks spending all that money, $2,000 and $3,000, can't just use their insurance and not have to put anything out of their pocket. We can reduce mortality by 20%. If you've lost a loved one, it doesn't matter how old they are, right? I think both my parents have passed. I would give a lifetime of tomorrows for one yesterday with both of them.
Oh, yeah, that's so true. And it's crucial. I mean, I think this is a crucial piece, what we're talking about, making sure that access isn't a privilege, but a right. And the cost of advanced healthcare is often such a barrier. So it's reassuring to hear that accessibility is on your mind. Now, Kenya, you're an advocate for community-based wellness. Can you share a moment from the check-in series that highlights the power of community in achieving wellness transformations?
Probably the episode that we did with Lady Luck.
That's exactly what I was thinking, because that's real community.
Yes. And it just came from a very organic place, like how it all came about with us, finding out about her condition, her being so transparent with our audience about like what she was struggling with, and literally it's coming out and saving her life, right? Like it was very full circle, and that like it just was remarkable how that all came to fruition.
She was near death, but you talk about communities and not to cut you off, Kenya, but it was just conversations, small conversations in informal places, and then someone caring about someone, making a call, having a text, and literally I think she's on this earth today because of those conversations.
Yeah. Thank you both so much for joining us. Dr. Puma, it was a pleasure having you here. Thank you for contributing to the Expert on the Microphone series.
Zen, thanks so much for having us, and thanks for making us part of your community and all you're doing for healthcare.
Yeah.
Definitely check out Coach Kenya. You could head to coachkenya.coach or check her out on the gram at Coach Kenya. That's spelled with a Y, Kenya. And Dr. Puma is at Sorin Medical NY. And you could head to their website and check out how affordable this scan truly is, sorinmedicalny.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Are you looking to build a new home? Think about building a barn-dominium. There's just something about getting away from it all. Country living, fresh air, and outdoor entertainment. Watch luxury barn-dominium tours on Your Home TV and let Stacy Lynn, the barn-dominium lady, take you on a journey through her barn-dominium designs.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We upload to our YouTube channel, Zen Sam's, Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all of our episodes are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide. Thank you so much to all of our sponsors that continue to make the show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.